A very good evening to you all. I hope you can see me. This evening, I'll be speaking on recognizing living things. This is one of the first topic in biology, year 10, which is SS1. So I'll be speaking on recognizing living things, and the subtopic is the meaning of biology. So at the end of this lesson, I expect the student to understand the lesson objective, which are they should be able to define science and biology. They should be able to state at least 5 branches of biology, and they should be able to list and explain 4 methods of science. Now, the first objective, recognizing living things, which is the topic. If you look at the topic, recognizing means to identify, to be able to know that this is this. Living thing, when we talk about living thing, it means that thing possesses all the characteristics. It possesses all things, all of them that will make you to know. We normally use Mr. Niger card. So for you to call something a living thing, it must possess all these characteristics. So how do you recognize them? You recognize them if they possess all these characteristics. This recognizing living thing is a very broad topic that we extend to week 4. This is just an introduction. Now, the first objective, science. What is science? Science is a body of knowledge. Science is a systematic process of making inquiry. They want to know, why is this thing like this? Scientists does not believe stories. They are not historians. They try to know, why is this thing like this? About living, they want to know, what is it about living thing and non-living thing in the environment? So it's an organized body of knowledge that want to find out things. They want to know. That is biology. That is science. It's a very broad concept. Scientists does not accept things the way they are. They want to know, why is this thing like this? Why is it behaving like this? Why is it like this? That is what scientists does. So science is a body of knowledge that make inquiry about a knowledge. Okay. Now we want to talk about biology. Biology is a branch of science. It's a branch of pure science, a branch that study living things. In other words, living thing is made up of plant, animal, and microorganisms, what you cannot see with your naked eye. So biology study living things. Okay. The word biology is derived from the Greek word bios, which means life, and logos, which means to study. So if bio means life, and logos means study, so you can say that biology is therefore the study of life or the study of living things. So it's a very simple concept. Now, biology have several branches. There are over 200 branches of biology. In objective, I told you you will know at least 5. Here I listed 7, and I'm going to list others that are not written here. We have botany. Botany, study of plants. In other words, some people may call it plant science. Botany, study plants. Zoology, study what? Animals. Okay. Morphology and anatomy, they sound the same, but they're not the same. Morphology, study the external features of living things. Why is this? How does the external features look like? Why anatomy, study the internal structure of living things. It can be internal structure of plants, internal structure of animal, internal structure of bacteria. That's what anatomy does. It study what? Internal structure. Physiology, study how the functions of living things. Study how living things function. Okay. For example, want to study if you're looking about the shape of a liver, that is anatomy. If you are looking at how does the liver work, that is what physiology. Now we have ecology. Ecology, the study of relationship between living things and the environment. In other words, you can say ecology is the study of habitat of an organism. We have genetics. is the study of living things, how living things inherit character from their parents. In other words, the study of hereditary and variations among population. Okay, there are other branches of biology that are not listed here, though we have two major branches, which is botany and zoology, and the third major part, which is microbiology, which is not here. Microbiology is study of living organism that you cannot see with your naked eye. We call it microbiology. We have entomology, study of insects. We have parasitology, study of parasites. We have ornithology, study of birds. Okay, we can go on and on and on to list the various branches of what biology. We have biochemistry. We study how the biological components and the chemical component of the body work. Okay, there are so many branches of biology. You can go on and study the various branches, but these are the few ones you want to know for your level. So the prime purpose of science is to research, find out things. So biology involves finding out and making inquiry about living things, the interaction with nature. Now, we want to talk about, coming back to science, method or process of science. As we mentioned before, that science is a method, it's a systematic method of making inquiry. It begins with observations. Scientists does not take things the way they are. They will say, why is this thing like this? They will observe. What do they use to observe? They can observe with their five senses. They look. They look with the eye. They listen with their ear. If it in water for them to taste it that is not harmful, they will taste it and see what is it taste like. Okay, they will touch it to feel it. So scientists, they make observations. So they use all the senses of hearing, touch, feeling, pressure, taste, and they can also use instruments also like microscope, magnifying lens to check, to observe all these things. Then after scientists have observed, they will make a hypothesis, which is what? A guess, a sensible, reasonable guess, which can be tested or verified. For example, I can pick at this thing now. I said, oh, this thing, there are 5 stones inside. I'm shaking it, listening with what? With my ear. Okay, I just make a guess. There are 5 stones here. What I'm doing is a guess. Then for me to verify what is inside, I have to open it and see how many stones is inside. What I'm doing there is no longer a hypothesis. I'm carrying out experiment. Okay, and when experiment means to test. So when after experiment have been conducted, it will be accepted. When the result is out, the hypothesis will be accepted or rejected. So experiment usually involve making measurements, counting. It can be carried out in the laboratory or in the field. Okay. So we also have what we call control experiment, which is identical to the real experiment to check, to validate the real result of the experiment we are doing. The next one is the result. Result from the experiment are put together. Then after the result is there, the result to be interpreted, can use graph to interpret it, and a conclusion is made. These are the method of science. So scientists may repeat the same experiment. That is, other scientists may repeat the same experiment and see they will get similar results. Okay. Then when they do the same thing and have the similar results, it can be then it's accepted as a theory, a scientific theory. I've heard about some scientific theory. Then when a theory has been tested extensively worldwide and found to be true, then it now become a law. Now become a law. For example, you have the law of gravity. Okay. Now the experimental pattern. The experimental pattern. How does the scientist report the experiment? Experiments are designed to eliminate all form of bias. So as to avoid making false conclusion To achieve this, only the factor being tested is the one that is being varied. Other factors may affect the results are kept constant. Okay. Now, when conducting experiment, a biology uses processes of science, such as counting, as I mentioned before, measuring, classifying, organizing data, communicating, recording, and interacting. Then, if you want to carry out experiment, these are the major pattern you follow. Date of the experiment, aim and purpose of the experiment, apparatus and material required, process and method used, observation, interference, and conclusion. Okay, these are general method of science. So, in biology is an experimental subject, especially experimenting on living things. It may be possible to test the population of organisms. May be possible, for example, in biology practical, you carry out some tests in the lab. You carry out some culture in the lab and observe them under the microscope. Biology is a very interesting subject, and the topic is broad. Then I would like to give an assignment. One of them is you have to list 10 examples of living things and non-living things, which is going to be our next topic. Since you know that living things possess all the characteristics of living, non-living things does not possess them. List 10 each. Stage 7 career in biology. You may take a career in biology tomorrow. What are the career you think that a biologist can work in? Thank you. If you have any question, you can send it to me at otitjerome@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.